Alright, decided to do a little impromptu drive through the Brazoria National Wildlife Refuge. It's located off of County Road 227, and they're calling it Freeport. This is an unincorporated area. I think somebody delegated this road name as Fleetwood Lane, but I've always called it Entrance Road. Speed limit is 45 miles an hour, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Refuge officers do have radar and can write tickets, so just exercise due caution there. Keep your speeds down, folks, especially for the wildlife. It is a couple miles down this before you actually get into the reserve. Excuse me, the refuge. Now this is just going to be just a simple drive-through. Just what to expect if you decide to pay a visit here. Starting to get a little close when the speed limit drops down to 35. This time of year, you can usually expect to see some ducks and teal, maybe the occasional flock of geese. The wild hogs are here, unfortunately, year-round. Seen some bobcats and coyotes. And honestly, I've never seen a white-tailed deer here, which is kind of surprising. Now getting into the refuge. When you first come in, there's a road to your right. and it's probably a mile and a half or so down. It comes to Salt Lake, which is the only fishing area inside the refuge here. It's a little visitor center that's usually almost always closed, a little boardwalk. Actually, probably be better to go this way. Just follow the auto tour. And do be very, very careful if you come out here and get out of your vehicle for whatever reason. There are venomous snakes, and the most likely one you'll run into out here will be a western diamondback, and you do not want to get tagged by that. And there's also a lot of alligators out here too. Which brings up another topic. You are not allowed to feed the alligators. Do not do it. If you start doing that, they stop associating humans is essentially like, predators, and start looking at humans as a food source, and that's when the alligators get dangerous. They've had problems with that before out here, where they've actually had to shut down, I believe, this part of the refuge off because idiots were coming out here feeding the alligators, and they were starting to become extremely aggressive. Stop just a second, give you a view of what I'm seeing. And the mosquitoes are ferocious out here. Ibises. Okay, I gotta roll the window back up. Sorry guys, these mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are ferocious. These are the saltgrass mosquitoes that are pretty much impervious to DEET and any other repellent. Some of the roads are a little rough, but you don't need an off-road vehicle to come out here and do a little tour. Not really the focus of today's mission, but if you're coming out here to look at wildlife, a good pair of binoculars, or a good camera with a quality telephoto lens will be your friend. unfortunately, it's still kind of dry out here. Normally, well, right now where I'm at is usually pretty much just grassland, but when we actually get some pretty consistent rain, normally these fields off to the left and even to the right get flooded and have standing water in it, which is obviously a lot better for the waterfowl that are migrating this time of year. See this little picnic table off to the right. Whoop. Which honestly I think is a bit of a joke because the mosquitoes, a lot of times during the school years, they'll have, sporadically they'll have area schools come out here for field trips and whatnot. Usually whenever they stop or whatever, they'll stop at like one of these little covered, I guess you call it a gazebo. Yeah, not a gazebo, but one of these little covered picnic areas. And believe it or not, the biffs out here, the fiberglass toilet here, they're usually fairly clean, believe it or not. Again, I just have to stand up, so. Yeah, a lot of these little bumps look honestly worse than what they actually are. If you're in a passenger vehicle or a vehicle with a low ground clearance, just take it slow. Also, don't be that idiot that comes out in a four-wheel drive vehicle and purposely ruts the park up. And make sure you be ever observant of the signs out here. There's lots of, well, there's several areas here that are closed areas that you're not allowed to go in, and if you get caught, yeah, you're going to get a ticket. See, typically when you come up to a closed area, you're going to come across a sign that's pretty plain English. Area beyond this sign is closed. All entry prohibited. So, just like I said, don't cross it. You cross it and get caught, you'll get to be mailing money into Galveston or having to make a court appearance in Galveston County, where the federal courthouse is. I'm sorry for the bad video quality. I'm doing this on my phone, and this mount isn't exactly the best. Honestly, just trying to fill this out, see if there's any interest on stuff like this. If there is, I could be doing a lot more and possibly investing in better equipment. To the very, very east end of the Wildlife Refuge, and this is eventually going to end. Going to more or less dead end. I have to turn around and come back out. And I can't remember if there's an area that you can actually walk down to or not. Area's closed. Don't go down it. And their sign is just totally trashed. This just goes down to what you're calling Rogers Pond. They've got like a little deck that you can stand on and get ate up with the mosquitoes. Attention, be vigilant, and if you see a snake in the road, that is not an okay to run over it. Again, this is a wildlife preserve. I did happen to be present one time when a guy ran over a water moccasin and he got caught and was issued a citation for it. Come out here to enjoy wildlife. You come out here to enjoy nature. You don't come out here to run over or kill any type of wildlife. Don't be that guy. I did say that you can easily make these roads in a car or a low clearance vehicle. But just keep in mind there are people out here that'll tend to go the wrong way that they're not supposed to go. And typically when that happens, somebody's going to have to get off the gravel drive. Four-wheel drive truck with all-terrain tires, so that's really not an issue for me, but just something to keep in mind. Usually it's not too bad. You can get off the road about a foot on either side and you can pass by each other fairly easily. But just take caution, just take note of that, because if it's, within a week, if there's been like a foot of rain, you might be a little cautious in that. I know I'm a horrible tour guide, and I know the video quality ain't going to be the best because I can see it's vibrating. But just trying to provide a quick little just drive through to hopefully help somebody that may or may not be thinking about coming out here and just just wondering what it's like, what the roads are like. I'm not an ornithologist, but I'm seeing a lot of just very, very common birds that you'd normally see this time of year. I mean, well, year round out here. And I have yet to see any. We're going to be coming back from that way here in a little bit. There's some coots. Visitor Center, or I believe they're calling it the Discovery Center. They've got like a little covered area that they used to have like a bunch of maps and whatnot for the park, you know, for the roads here. But for whatever reason, they don't seem to stock that anymore. So go like Google Earth or something like that. Get turned around out here, you typically start to kind of figure out where you're at. There's really not that many roads, but it can be pretty easy to get turned around. When you first come into the park and you actually go down that long blacktop road and you get in, you'll have a road on the right, you have the Discovery Center, you go straight, and if you remember where I stopped and backed up, well, if you keep going, if you kept going straight, you'd wind up to a Y, and if you keep to the left, you're going to the Teal Pond platform, which unfortunately there's not a platform anymore, because I believe during Hurricane Ike it got damaged and they demolished it and have since not rebuilt it. And I kind of understand why. That Teal Pond, best of my memory, never kept any water in it. And there've been several times I've come out here, and even when the mosquitoes weren't that bad, got out and walked up to it, and I mean, it sat up pretty high. I think it was probably 10 foot off the ground, if not higher. You were just looking at grassland and just never saw anything. So that might have been a big factor in why they decided not to rebuild it. And this parking lot that I'm coming up to is the Teal Pond platform. But as you can see, or you will see, there's nothing there anymore. Because they used to have parking, and they actually used to be marked. You might be able to see some remnants of it. But straight ahead there used to be a little path that you walk down that they kept cleared and mowed, that you walk down and you get up on it. But that's pretty much all you were ever looking at. So, like I said, that's probably a giant factor in reasoning behind them deciding not to spend the money, especially with lumber costs as high as they are, to rebuild it. But then again, it is the federal government, so costs generally aren't an issue. I'd seen some critters moving around, but I ain't seeing nothing. I know I got you guys pointed straight ahead, but there's really nothing of interest out the left or right window. But just got to keep in mind, you're out in nature. You're not at a zoo. You're not guaranteed to see something every time you come out. Gems of this area. As you can see, since I've been inside the park, I haven't seen another human being, which is incredibly nice. Knock on wood. Now, there's a Maddox monument on this little trail that you could park here. Kind of pause that and read that if you'd like. Kidding me? Sit there and say, don't worry about it, you can make it in the car. And I have to put my truck in four-wheel drive. But that little area there, if you so desire to brave the mosquitoes, you can get out there and walk down that little trail. Honestly, I've never done it. But again, if you do so choose to do that, you need to make damn sure where you're walking. Like I said, probably the most common venomous snake you're going to run into out here will be a western diamondback rattlesnake. And no, they do not always rattle before they strike. especially with the extremely bad hog problem we have, and a lot of other people across the state, other states. The hogs are just decimating, wildlife populations like quail, wild turkeys. Now, I'm not a herpetologist, but I also believe, and this is just an uneducated opinion, but I also believe that some rattlesnakes are starting to kind of adapt, maybe evolve, as they're not as quick to rattle. Because I've encountered some out here, just crossing the road, and I've stopped, get out, take a picture, and I've got within, I don't know, just outside of the strike range of them before they even cooled up. And I've had some that just cool up and just look at you and just very lightly rattling. And on the same note, I've encountered, under the same situation, I've encountered some where they immediately hop up, and I mean start just, you think they're going to rattle their tail off. But just be cautious, especially this area. They blend in very well. Quite possible that I have driven past 100 of them and you just won't see them. Just painstakingly have to get out there with a hook and just search inch by inch. And we're coming up to the end of it. There's an only pond viewing area. Really not a pond. Another one of these areas that, unless there's been some heavy rain over several days, typically not any water. Usually has water in it all the time. So again, that's my bad. When I was coming in here, I wasn't looking. We're coming back up to it, so we'll take a gander. Discovery Center. Okay, well, That's the best he can do. I don't know if you can see all the mosquitoes. That's pretty much the end of the tour. And closed. But I hope that's helped anybody that's interested in this refuge. That said, I think I'm going to go ahead and close it out. It's already been 37 minutes now. But just trying to judge interest on videos like this, just simple drive-thrus, maybe a little bit of narrating. Just testing the waters, see what it'd be like. So, if you made it this far, thanks for watching.